Hey, everybody, welcome to the August installment of the live client chat. I'm your girl, Coach Crystal, and it is a pleasure to be here tonight. Here's what we're going to do. Just so if you've never been to our community before, we first want to welcome you in with our mantra that just says a lot of things happen before this, and I guarantee a lot of things are going to happen after this. But I promise, rather than we promise, to be here with you now. Please be here with us now. So tonight, if you're a fan of Wisdom Wednesdays, tonight you're in for a treat. We not only have one expert, but we have 8 visionaries on tonight. And these are not just people who randomly we put together. These are clients who are the beginnings of our Vision Builder group and who are all the way up through our Life Mastery program. So we're going to bring them out tonight and we're going to have a discussion about transformation, not on a big ethereal level, but on a personal level. How did their lives change? Who have they become? And what's so important about having a vision? So here we are. We're going to bring them out one at a time. We have the 2 members of Brotherhood Dances, Ricardo Valentine and Orlando Zane Hunter. A recent graduate of our Vision Builder program, Dorticia Adelis. An original member of the Vision Builder program, Dr. Angela Batista, as well as another OG, Mr. Travian Pollard. Another recent graduate of Vision Builder, Fareen Paris Myers. One of our mastermind clients, Libby Miles. And a third or fourth generation Vision Builder, Jesse Owens. So, and we got right there in the middle, we got top, masterminds up here, or, up here, Vision Builders right here. And then the meat in the sandwich is our Life Mastery program, all the way from the West Coast. Please welcome Nicole Garza. So welcome everybody. First of all, deep bow. Thank you so much for not just believing in a vision of mine, but allowing me to walk beside you and create these parts of your lives that are thriving. First question right out the gate. What did you think building a vision was in the beginning? Oh, go ahead, Dortrice. You laughing. Go ahead.
Oh gosh. Okay. I mean, I'd never taken a program like this. And so from an academic perspective, I leaned into, building a vision seemed very obvious. But I'll just say, not to jump ahead, what I experienced over that 12-week period of time working with you and the people in my cohort was so much more than just the definition of what a vision is or might be. So I'll leave it there and let it was bigger than I thought.
Okay. Who else wants to jump in?
I'll go.
Go for it.
So I was afraid that it might be like, have a goal, and now here are 5 steps that you have to do every day to achieve your goal, and we're going to make you accountable to reaching your goal, and that it would be like another one of those kinds of like type A personality, this is how we thrive kind of thing. And thank goodness it wasn't that, or I don't think I would have lasted and I wouldn't have stayed with it. Instead, it's more of, I want to say it's a feeling state. It's a tapping into who you really are in your deepest essence and what makes you glow, what makes you shine, what makes you, or what helps you bring your gifts in their greatest form out into the world and in community.
Yeah. Thanks, Libby.
Yeah.
Libby, what you say really speaks to me because I was on the first group and I came at a time that was really critical when I was leaving my job and trying to build up what my next step was going to be. And it was really interesting to kind of I kind of create structures for myself where I'm required to do the work, and the structure itself or the container helps me. And to me, this was a very intentional choice to help me tap into that part of myself and figure out how I could do for myself what I maybe do for others more easily. And so it was really exactly what you're talking about, this experience of figuring out how you tap into yourself and how you kind of can make everything that's in there that you may or may not be aware of become something that has a cohesive picture that you can live into. And that was really my experience.
Yeah. Thank you, Angela. That's great. Thank you. Yes, Trey?
Libby, I totally wanted that kind of structure, that do this, and it wasn't that. And so I was a little freaked out in the beginning. But the thing about the vision, like, I think we come in with these ideas about who we think we are. And I think the thing that was really amazing is that through the process, you start to kind of peel the layers of the wrapping of the casing and you really start getting to the core of like what your wants and needs are. And so I think that was the thing that I was like kind of blown away by. It's like, oh, maybe I didn't really like, that's a material thing that you want, but who you really are is this thing right here.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Awesome.
Yeah,
Wow.
on that same note, I did not expect it to be so much spirit work. And I knew it was going to be work because I took this introductory workshop with you that you offered through the Vermont Dance Alliance, and it was action packed. And so I knew I was going to get into something, but I getting into writing about the vision, right? And like writing it over and over and over again, it started to really slowly dawn on me that this is not about my goals. Sure, it's about my goals. I'm writing about that. This is about asking myself questions that I've never asked myself before. This is about not looking at what's not working anymore, but like, what do I want? what do I want out of my life? And yeah, just so much in the way of peeling those layers away. I really resonated with that. That's what it felt like.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm just gonna say what's coming to me is remembering to live from the dream. I remember that being a huge thing for us because I mean we are dancers and choreographers, so like how we think and manifest things are like, okay, now the next thing. And so it kind of gave us a sense of slowing down. I mean, in steps and stages. Crystal talk about step by step. It's like scene by scene, line by line. And I really hold that and take that to heart because that's how, I mean, we've gotten to the place that we are today, like really taking that step by step, scene by scene kind of mentality with moving in the dream.
Yeah.
Can I just iterate, like kind of step in and just kind of also share that one of the things that as a vision builder, as someone at the beginning of this journey, what I came away with as we're talking about this was that it gave me license to dream a dream, to entertain the vision of myself beyond all the things that I had defined myself as a mother, as a wife, as a professional. And in that 12-week period of time, it opened me up to just that, visions of myself beyond these labels, beyond these expectations of who I should be at a particular age. And now, while I'm not where I want to be, I am dancing gleefully in the essence of dreaming and playing. Like I get to define it. My husband asked me the other day and I was like, I'll let you know when I get there. But in the meantime, I'm going to enjoy this moment right now.
Yeah.
And that's what, the vision work has gifted me, truly.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks for trusting me, right? So for those of you who are out there, this is not a script, right? I didn't invite these people here to say a specific thing. They're not getting any extra swag for this. Like, this is not what this is about, right? Okay, living, Mike, is good. Right? But the thing here is, in this community, we have defined our core principles as clarity, confidence that is built in community. And there is nothing that is more powerful for me to watch than for these people to evolve, but not only as individuals, but as a community. There are several Steps and Stages clients who go off and meet without me. They send pictures of brunches, holidays. I'm like, well, dang, nobody invited me. Okay. But that's not the point, right? It's not about me. It's about building free people, right? Because if you have a vision rather than a plan, you're actually free to take that journey as yourself rather than plan to be something that someone else is adjudicating. Yeah. Okay. We know it was scary at the beginning. Everybody starts in the same place. Just throw that out here, by the way. Everyone starts in the Vision Builder cohort. And so let me dial it back for you, because we have some OGs here. And I think people really need to understand that a vision is not something you start to live into when it's perfect. The people who were in the original Vision Builder group, some of them never saw an advertisement. They never saw a YouTube page. There was no registration. They got a text message from me personally. And it said, listen, I'm about to do this thing. And if you want to do it with me, just say yes. Right? And they said yes. Right? I have 2 core values, love and trust. I don't do anything I don't love, and I don't work with people I don't trust. So in the beginning, that yes for me was a clear indication from God, the universe, spirit, whatever you want to name it, that I was walking in the right direction. So some of you have those same God ordained moments, those same yeses in your vision, and I've seen them manifest. So let's just tell the people some of the milestones, right? And for us, we're not talking about milestones like markers towards goals. We're talking about old spiritual language of like, when something deep happens, you write it on a rock and leave it in that place so you can come back and know where you were, right? Y'all, let's give them some milestones. What you got?
I'll say that for me, like I was thinking back on it today, knowing that we were coming together today, and this milestone of like, I think it might have been our first one-on-one conversation. But it was definitely in a one-on-one conversation of, I've been in a line of work that was lucrative, and that I was getting all the external praise and rewards and advancing and being paid well, but really unfulfilled, really unhappy, really not great. And yet still saying yes to every job that came, right? Saying yes to every project and saying yes, and then hanging up the phone being like, God, why did I say yes to that? I don't need the money. I don't even want to do it, but I feel this compulsion to say yes to it. Yeah. And I've been trying to figure that out for a long time. Of why do I do this thing that isn't good for me, this thing that I don't want to do. Yeah. And for me, that it was a huge milestone to understand. And I think, Crystal, you put it in such clear, perfect words that just really crystallized what it was, is that it's like, that was like filling my love bucket, is as you said it, right? Of like, that's why I'm doing this thing that is so bad for me, because from so many reasons, from all the therapy, from all the things, right? This is what I love feels like to me. So I'm suffering for this, and it ain't love. I mean, it's paying all right, but they aren't even paying. No. And so to actually be able now to turn down a job or a gig that I don't want and that I don't need, and I wasn't able, it's a huge milestone to feel safe enough and to understand what that was doing for me, and to kind of just reclaim my power over myself, and to say yes for the right reasons, not for these kind of empty, like empty calorie reasons.
Empty calorie achievement. Yeah. A lot of us thrive on that empty calorie achievement, right? Like, we did it. Did you just see me do it? I did it. Can I get a carrot? Can I get a cookie? Can I get a raise? Can I get a sticker? Right? It's empty calorie achievement, but it's not success momentum, right? It's not the yeses to ourselves. It doesn't build the other qualities. What else we got, y'all?
I don't know when it started to happen, but really the biggest milestone for me is really feeling happy, feeling content and feeling happy. And I don't know, somewhere along the way in the last year or so, 2 years, I don't know, how long has it been? It's been a little over, it's like a year and a half maybe. Yeah. I started to realize that I had a default setting. Something had shifted, and I was doing so much work. I was in grad school. I started this structural integration training at the same time, which was like it was like grad school for body workers. I was in double grad school at the time, and it was just all much. And I was doing it and also feeling good. And that was something that I don't know when that shifted. I wouldn't 2 years ago, there were great things happening in my life. There were great things happening in my life all the time before that. But I was in this place where I wasn't feeling good, and I wouldn't have defined my life as good. And today, now, every day, most days, sure, I have days that don't go well, but I bounce back, I rebound back to this place of my life is damn good. And that's a complete and total shift. And I think, when I think back on what happened there and how did I get here, what really sticks out for me is you talking about living in your joy, right? And you talking specifically about that this work is driven by joy and living into that. And sure, we do the hard work, but we're not going to hang out there, right? In the trauma and the ick and all of that stuff. And I think up until I had worked with you, Crystal, I had been doing work that focused on working on that, but focused. And so this, for the first time, was about, well, how are you going to build your joy? And so, yeah, that's it. This is probably one of the things that's in my life that I want to carve in stone.
Yeah.
Yeah. Joy.
Awesome. Thank you, Jessie. I mean, y'all, let me just be clear. In the world today, we are so attracted to the publicity of pain that when we see joy, we actually think it's fake. And that is a shame. We are much more enculturated these days to trauma bond than to joy build. And we got to really check ourselves for that, because we are not actually, we're never going to get what we want until we get who we are, right? And if we are people who patronize trauma, then we're going to take that as a value system. And if we don't actually elevate our joy, no matter how we feel, because feelings are not facts, we will continue to perpetuate something that's not ours anyway. Right. So what else? Other milestones? Anybody got one?
I think I'll speak for myself.
Yeah, go ahead.
Thinking
Move
about,
over so we can see you, Orlando.
Ricardo trying to hog the camera.
Don't do that.
No, like, we currently live in Columbus, Ohio now. We were formerly living in Brooklyn, New York. And this is where we are receiving our master's, or in pursuit of our master's, at The Ohio State University. I moved to New York in my 20s. I'm 31. I'll be 32 in October. And being in New York during that time, I mean, you feel like, oh my gosh, I'm here, I'm doing this thing, but you don't really understand the environment, really take in the environment around you. It's more like you're just trying to go and get something done for yourself. And it wasn't until we got together and really started doing our work in collectivism and thinking about, okay, well, if we want to do this solidarity work, we're going to need a different quality of life. We're going to need space. We're going to need greenery. And living in our 1-bedroom apartment in Crown Heights was not supporting our evolution and how we were starting to grow. And we could feel it. Like, even when we go back there, we like, whoa, this is like, we're like, maybe trying to become small or something. And like, once we moved here, it was a complete like opening. Like, we were able to expand. And we had talked about this, I mean, in our visioning around how do we live from a place where we want a better quality of life? How do we envision and live from a space that we deserve and we're worthy of a better quality of life, in solidarity and in togetherness? Because a lot of times it becomes very individualistic in terms of the pursuit of how we want a quality of life and how we should share that kind of quality of life. I mean,
Yeah, absolutely. And I think with the pandemic happening and allowing folks to slow down a bit, I think with this new space for expansion, moving with slow intention and allowing space for you to listen more deeply to those messages that need to be received in order to fulfill this vision that you have. And so being here in Columbus has allowed us to be with other like-minded folks who are really thinking about building an intentional space, a new future that allows for rest to happen and for you to move forward with confidence in allowing this vision to be for others and for yourself.
Yeah. That's great. Thank y'all. I mean, it brings up one of our core principles, right, y'all? That, the vision is amazing for you, but it ain't for you. It's not just for you, right? Like, someone else is depending on your transformation. Someone else is depending on your evolution. Someone else is feeding or going to be fed from your love and joy, right? And you can only have some of that to share if you have enough for yourself. Angela, you want to say something?
Yeah, as usual, you kind of went there before I went there. So
Okay.
good. See? But I have 2 dates for you. September 20th, 2020. It's the first day that I emailed Crystal because a friend and colleague had said, she's running in this group and you should reach out to her. And a week later, I was in this group. Well, September 27th, right?
Yeah.
And it was the middle of the pandemic, and I had just transitioned from my job out of college, and I wasn't sure what I was going to do. And I was living with my parents in Florida, and I did this program from this little porch where I had set up this working area for myself. And so it was really an element of transformation from that space, symbolic to everything else. And I think for me, what you're saying really speaks to the experience that I had, which was really about choosing to walk into my own light. And this is language that you helped me to get to and that you really named for me, Crystal. So I'm really grateful to you, because I think that it's really easy, especially in the middle of everything we were going through, to kind of focus on giving light to other people. And this thing about figuring out what you need in order to give to you and give to others, and this idea that if you don't give to yourself, you're actually taking away from others in a way, right? And it's different than caretaking, where you're just giving because you need to give, and there's no really value necessarily seen in what happens if I take it away, other than sort of the result, right? This intrinsic value in the difference and the impact that kind of goes away because you're making a choice not to focus on yourself. And so for me, the process was really about having the courage to really take the risk, to let go of everything else. And so I started my business. I focused on improving my life, my health, right? Full 360 in my life. And so I think that wouldn't have happened if I had not done all the things that you're talking about, of being in a space, putting myself in a space that really allowed me to kind of take on what, Coach Crystal was saying, or other colleagues and friends shared in that group, that really helped me learn and tap into that. And it allowed me to do that for other people in a way that I had never thought I could in a very short time already. So that's really a testament to, if you do it for yourself, you really are doing it for others, and it shows up, right?
Yeah, of course. Yes.
Yeah, I'm going to chime in on that doing it for yourself moment. Because I come from a military background. We've moved around a lot, and so I've kind of developed this skill of being able to be in spaces and transform myself and be cool. But it gotten to the point where I was like, okay, like I don't even really know who I am, because I'm constantly like morphing to all of these different spaces. And so what I realized through the process is that I really, when I'm the most happiest is when I'm being creative, when I'm making something, when I'm thinking about art, when I'm in it completely. And so I decided to kind of really use that as a kind of platform for every part of my life. Like how can you be the most creative in everything that you're doing, in conversations, even down to my social media posts. I'm like, oh, let me just figure out how to be creative. And it really just transformed how I was walking in the world. I was in so much the joy of making something, and not for a performance or for money or anything, but just the joy of making something and feeling good about it was just exciting for me. And I just have been on that ride of that for a long time now. And it also has brought in those other things, the business things, the performances and other opportunities and things like that, that wasn't really the purpose for the making, but it's created that. So I'm really thankful for the moment that I've had sharing with all the people and learning from all the people and with Crystal and everything. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Y'all, excitement is the cousin of fear, right? We know that in this community, but let's just share this with you all. If you're out there and you're like, oh, I'm anxious, I'm scared, it's the same frequency as excitement. You just named it a different thing. They're like twins. They came from the same place. They just might have a different attitude, right? So you get to pick it. Right. And so whereas before Trey might have been walking into rooms feeling like, oh, I'm a little anxious because I don't know what people are expecting of me. Now I'm going to walk into the room excited because I get to create me for you. Right. It's a whole different set. Yeah, Dotricia, go ahead.
Testimony to that point.
Go ahead.
And that these 12 weeks are amazing, and I'm looking forward to the next. So the last couple of weeks have been kind of crazy. And I woke up and I was aware of my anxiousness. I was aware of the anxiety in my body because of the work I've been doing this year.
Yeah.
And and all of a sudden, as I'm like, why are you feeling this way, and examining it, and I knew what it was around. And then I remembered that statement. Yeah. And I paraphrased it, to be quite honest, but I was like, this fear is just anxious, and it's another energy, and that you can shift it to the excitement, because the fear of the unknown is the energy of the what if and what is possible. And so what could have shut me down, and actually was around my career, which is an area that I'm still working through. Yeah. And I just was like, no, you're going to be excited. And I did what I haven't been able to do in about a year. I actually looked into some things that I was interested in. And I was just like, you know what? As simple as it may seem, I was like, let me just apply for these jobs and make some phone calls and do some things that I would normally do without even thinking twice about it for anyone else.
Yes.
Right. But being able to recognize it and not let it, that fear, I was like, it's just energy. You can do this. I was baby coaching myself a la Coach Crystal.
Right. That's
and having the verbiage and the tools to be able to recognize it and then do something with it.
Right.
And that is the alchemy of it, right? That's what I like to think of it as. And like Travian was saying, now I look at things and I'm like, I'm artistically adjacent. I have a creative child, a dancer, and he get it from his mama, but but what I like to say, Soul Train doesn't count, but doesn't it? It does. But what I find now at this point in my life is that I'm looking for artistic expressions. I'm revisiting, and the things that I used to love to do as an artistic expression, I'm no longer leaning into that. I'm like, what's next? I'm going to take this pottery class, and I'm going to do this, dancing thing, and rep the big girls, and all these things. Why? Because if for no other reason, as Travian was saying, is that for my own well-being.
Yeah.
So that was another big part. It's like you have to have an artistic expression. It could be writing, it could be, the work you do, however, but I'm very aware of that now, and it brings me a lot of joy.
Yeah. Yeah. That's amazing. Right. It's all of that. Farine, you leaning in? You about to say something?
Well, first off, I have to say, there's always a replay that's going to come to you because there's too many gems that get dropped. It's only been 30 minutes. And if we were writing things down, you would have had multiple chapters in wisdom. And so I think that's the first milestone to deeply appreciate that it's not just Crystal, it's the cohort experience, it's you. I loved quoting, I'm like, wait, what Kelly say? And then I'm in the grocery store quoting Kelly from my cohort, and the person is like, what? I go, Kelly said that it is time for us to blah blah blah. So I deeply appreciate that. And I think for me, the milestones came when I would find the stuff that we were doing in the cohort manifesting in the everyday life. And I deeply appreciated all the different lessons, gems, whatever it may be. They haunt you. It wasn't just a 12-week program, whether we're with the cohort or not, I'd be looking at people. I'm like, that's a consumer. That's a contributor. And people are like, what? I go, Coach Crystal said, we got to pay attention to who the consumers and the contributors are in our life. And my mind went like this when she said that. And now I'm just labeling. Everybody's just dinging to me when I see them. And I think it's so important because we are we are the gift. I think I came into the program being like, help me with my vision to upscale All Heart Inspirations. I'm working towards this. And what I didn't realize was the whole 12 weeks, you were going to melt, Farine. You were going to get messy. But I also feel that I had less panic attacks this summer because of what we were unpacking with tenderness and realness and vulnerability each week. And so for me, like the vision evolved into me. It started outward with something I need to do for someone else. And then I was like, girl, you the vision, you know, like it's all you. And if you ain't protecting you, then there can't be anything, like, you know. And I loved how I arrived at that. I was like, people were like, how's that plan for your center? I'm like, I don't know, but you know what? Here are things I'm no longer having in my life. So I think that if someone took a qualitative assessment, I might have like trimmed some people since starting Life in Steps and added some things in, but I think that's okay. And then the last thing I want to say, because this is what stands out the most, Crystal, was the class that we had the weekend after the shootings in Buffalo, in California. That I could, like, we could have spiraled somewhere so quickly. And I just remember the practices that we gave each other that night. And since then, kind of using those to pivot myself when I just need to, out of protection of self. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying I don't care about said topic anymore. I'm not saying that it's not keeping me up at night, but there are just sometimes in a given moment, I need to just put it here because there's something profound I need to do to keep working on my thing, you know? And so that was, because I was like, that could have blew up. When I worked in higher ed, that kind of scene would have blown up, tears, blah, blah, not feel like it would have been bad. There was so much grace. Be as you are, just the way you move, the way you invited us to move. That was a gift. And I'll be forever thankful for that.
Thank you. Thank you. Right. I mean, we are, for the people out there who are watching, we are a community of care. Now, care don't mean I'm nice all the time. That doesn't mean that. Doesn't mean I agree with people all the time, because that's not my job. I have clients who are therapists, and we have developed a really cognizant, cogent definition that therapy is about excavation and coaching is about navigation. And I'm not here to excavate. I'm here to bring it to the surface. I want to look at it, and then I want to put it back together in a way that actually supports you as a foundation for your future, not just to keep unraveling the past, right? And so when we look at visioning, it's also not wishing. Right? This is not an empty promise to ourselves. This is a clear process of being clear about what we want, building confidence and integrity with ourselves, keeping our agreements with ourselves, not with other people, and building that momentum into the thing we would love, not what people will accept from us, right? So if you're really out there and you're wondering what this visioning is, this is not Pinterest. This is not a board to look at. This is a concrete, clear practice based in years of research on manifestation, abundance, the human psyche. We are doing the work that actually establishes your identity, and you can't do anything until you know who you are. So we're going to jump over real quick, and I'm just going to share the same quote that we've been looking at Wisdom Wednesdays all year long, y'all. You are only as strong as your readiness to surrender. Now, I'm putting this up here because I want to ask you, when did you know you were going to say yes to yourself and do this work?
When I sent my email.
Right. Now, because you got it from a friend, right? And the friend was like, this, right? Because again, right, we trust people, right? So there's certain voices that are going to speak to us, and we're going to be like, oh, I know you're saying you're making a suggestion, but I really don't have a choice.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
It's funny, as I think about it, it's hard to identify a moment, and then I realize the reason why is because it's an ongoing saying yes to it. And I was at a wedding this weekend, and it's funny because it's like, I've been married for 13 years, so I got some time in. I'm not as senior as some, but I've got some time in. So it's being at a wedding, right? You always kind of makes you reflect, and it's in being married, like, yeah, they said I do on Saturday, my very good friend and her now husband, but you do that, you keep doing that over and over and over, right? And you keep choosing. And so I realized that this is the same way. And every time that you kind of feel shiny object syndrome, which I struggle with, or you feel pulled, or you feel questioning, or I'm not sure, it's like constantly recommitting and saying yes. So it's Yeah, there was that first like kind of dip in the pool of saying, yes, I'm going to commit to this work. I'm going to commit to these 12 weeks. Like I'm going to do this thing.
Yeah.
But it comes sometimes multiple times a day,
Yeah.
saying yes again and again.
Yeah. That's good. That's good. That's good. Thank you.
Nicole, like, yes, yes, and yes. I literally, like, as soon as you said that, I was like, literally, it's an ongoing process. What's really divine is that we had the opportunity to perform at the Lincoln Center recently, and it was a James Baldwin Jubilee. So we were celebrating James Baldwin's birthday, and what was beautiful was that the curator gave us a 15-minute track of James Baldwin and was like, just create something. Now the track was bland. James Baldwin was just reading it, just playing as he wanted to. Love him dearly, but I was just like, honey, we need some oomph. Like, how we gonna get jiggy to it? So our sound designer, she like really transformed the sound and like got to the core of the message of his story. And what kept coming back was him saying, say yes to life. Say yes to life. And like that being a mantra, and it's something that you have to keep saying yes again and again and again, because it's the moment to moment thing that I talked about earlier. You don't know if it might be a yes right now. You're like, oh, I don't know, maybe should I, but like that's that fear or that excitement that we feel. And so saying yes to keep going further, and the commitment to self, and commitment to the vision. So yeah, the ongoing yes.
Yeah. And we talked about this in the mastermind, right? Yeses are expensive. Not just money, because a lot of people, as soon as I said it, they're like, oh, how much is it? No, don't worry about that. That's not what we're doing here. Yes is expensive with your time, your love, your energy, your intention, your mind. It's expensive if you really mean it. Now, you can say yeah to somebody, and like when people now, say, oh yeah, I'll talk about that. Yeah, we'll talk about it later. I love you. I pray for you. When they don't, that's a cheap yes. But we don't do cheap yeses here. Right? Yeses are expensive. When we say yes to something, it means I'm going to do what it takes to get this out of my head, into my heart, into my hands and feet, so you can have some of it. Right? Like that is an expensive yes. Yeah. What else you got?
Okay, I'm remembering now. I had to think back to when when I like really made the yes. You've joked that you're like addicted to personal development, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I am too. So of course I signed up for one of your 2 vision camps. I was like, yes, 3 hours on a weekend. This sounds awesome. That 3 hours was so productive. It gave me so much clarity, and then this sense of excitement for what my life could be outside of what it currently was.
Right.
And so from that point on, I joined Vision Builders. And I think the Vision Builders maybe started 2 or 3 weeks after that vision camp. And that it set the stage. I was ready to go, and I was ready to do a deep dive into it. And as others have mentioned, now there's like this daily or weekly sort of like, yes, again. Every time I you're a little bit off track, then I'm like, yes, this is where I want to be. These are my guardrails. I want to stay inside here where I'm not living a life that I have to recover from, but I'm living a life that elevates.
Exactly. Right. Yeah. Because for those of you who are out there who are listening to this, right, when you're living in the vision, there are guardrails, right? The life you've been living has rules. And when you break those rules, you either suffer the consequences of not being accepted, not getting the job, not feeling it. You feel that in a different way. But when you set your own guardrails and you run up against it, you go, oh, I know how to autocorrect. I know how to get myself back in balance. So there are clients here who have gone through our entry-level program, which is Vision Builder. That's 12 weeks. And then there are clients here who are currently in our next program, Life Mastery, which is 6 months. And then there are clients on here right now who are in our mastermind, which is a full year, right? So it's a continual yes, because the process of growth never stops. What else you got? The next Vision Camp, by the way, is December 31st. I know it's New Year's Eve. I'm well aware. And right now that I've said that out loud, people are making all types of excuses already about why they can't be there. But that's an excuse that is expensive. That's an expensive no. Because if you're going into the new year without at least giving some type of investment time and energy into what you're going to do differently, then you will end up doing the exact same thing. You will not be growing, and you will suffer in the energy of regret rather than thrive in the real true freedom. So I'm just going to put that out there. It's December 31st, noon to 3 p.m. If you want to catch the replay of the last one, you can text CAMP to 857-663-7837. But if you want to get that smoke face to face, at least virtually, jump on in. What else y'all got?
You know what I love, Coach? How many of us go back to every vision camp?
Yeah.
There's a bunch of us who I think have been at every single one of it because it's just like, oh, I get a new infusion of that. This is awesome. So I at least know of 3 of us who will be there.
Right. It's the reboot. Like you need it, we get y'all, you got to think about this. You get reminded of so many things from the outside about what you should do, who you should be, what you are and are not doing. You got to have a system of recollection for yourself, right? You got to bring yourself to remembrance and reflection so that the vision can keep thriving. Because it's not about writing the vision and plotting it out. It's about writing the vision as a pathway to understand how you're evolving as a person. There's space in there. Yeah. So anybody else know when they knew they were going to say yes? Yeah, Tracy.
So I came to your doorstep by way of a recommendation of a friend who's a mutual friend.
We know who he is, Jay Bowie. He's a client.
Yeah, he's amazing. And who's a mentor to my son, because I stalked him. I did. And we were talking, and he just said, he was like, you need to go check out Coach Crystal. And he said the word that stuck out. He said, because she's amazing at helping you figure out your vision. And I sat up on that word because for like the last 5 years, I had been saying, when everyone else around me would say, you should be this and you should do that and da-da-da-da-da. And everyone was telling me what I knew to be a truth or truths. But I would say in kindness, I appreciate that you see me that way. But until I have that vision for myself, I can't step into that space. Whether it was true or not, I just kept saying that was my pushback. So when he said the word vision associated with you, I took that as, okay, the universe is speaking loudly and clearly. Let me go check out this Coach Crystal and see what she's all about.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And to that end, it was the beginning of that commitment and to myself. And then we talked and I felt the right energy because, I checked with a couple of other people. And, if we start talking price points, I have a story about that. But it was taking nothing away from them, but it was the authenticity. And what you see whether you're talking to Coach Crystal one-on-one, everybody here can say amen. Or if it's in a cohort or community, whatever, your consistency, your energy, your authenticity, you're gonna get you're getting the same energy. And I just love that. I was like, I didn't, and I was like, yeah, I'm home. This is family. This feels right in my spirit,
Mm-hmm.
and you're just, and so I knew. And then it was like, well, the money, and I was like, if it was your kids, you figure it out. So just go figure it out. And that was when I said, I kissed that credit card twice, tapped it on it, and I was like, let's go. You know what I mean? And it was, but for me, that was a defining moment. That was me saying, it wasn't about the dollars. It was about me saying, you're worth. I didn't think about, I think you said it before too, like grad school, I was like, sign me up, take this 1,000, 100, whatever amount of money. And I'm not even doing that work. I don't feel as passionate. And so why not take this time and opportunity? And so for me, when I did that, I knew I was committing to myself. And now on my calendar, I connect, like you're in my phone every day. It's study time with Vision Builder, like going back and listening to the work so that I can stay at that frequency.
Yes,
You know,
yes.
I need that because I miss y'all. And so
Yeah. We miss you too. But let's just be clear, y'all. For those of you who are out there, we have programs, but our community is always connected. We have a private client group. You can always jump in. You can always ask a question. Just because you finish your 12 weeks doesn't mean we kick you to the curb. We don't do that here. So you're always in, right? Like, so don't worry about any of that. All right. Anybody have another one when they said yes? We got about 10 minutes left. So I want to be able to give y'all the last word for people who are on the fence, for people who may not have felt courageous enough to ask their question on this public forum. But let's see if we can figure out what they would have wanted to know, right? So what would you tell someone who has, and I'm a very loving person, but I'm just going to put it out there. You know, I know there are people out there who think that I'm their coach already because they listen to things. And listening is great because it probably gives you inspiration. But inspiration without action is merely entertainment. I am not here to entertain you. I am here to dive deeply into the processes of your life and transform it into something you would love to live. So while I appreciate your likes and your follows, I want you to follow your heart and take the next step into your next growth and development stage. So I just want to say that because there's a lot of information out there. Y'all, we're coming out of a pandemic, but we're still in an infodemic. And there are several people who are practicing things or offering things to develop people's gifts, and they don't do the work themselves. I will never challenge any of my clients to do work that I'm not doing myself or have not done. And so when you are looking for people to walk side by side with you on the journey of transformation, that's what you're looking for. It doesn't matter how much it costs. It doesn't matter what they look like. It doesn't matter if they're black, white, that doesn't matter. You need to be looking for people who are a proximate example of what you want to do in your life. It doesn't have to be the same thing you want to do, but the level of growth and transformation in their life is matching the frequency that you want to live on. So, y'all, let's see if we can think about the questions. We'll just jump in real quick. We'll go around. What do you think people need to know or might be afraid of in making this commitment to themselves, knowing that the next Vision Builder cohort starts September 12th? Let's go to Brotherhood. What you got?
What do they need to know? Just do it like Spike Lee. I mean, just go for it. Jump into the ocean and relax and allow the water to hold you into what you want for yourself.
Mm-hmm. That's abundance, yes.
Yes, that is abundance. Dortricia, what you got? What do you need to know?
That finances can't be your reason for not sewing into yourself. Okay, I did it late, and ask for what you need, just like you would ask for someone else. This program will work. You'll figure it out, but don't cheat yourself because you're afraid. You're moving with fear. Just ask for what you need.
Yeah, thank you. Dr. Angela.
I think I would say that if you figure out how to lean into your fear and even beyond that, embrace your fear, you probably will find more than you can dream of. And it's about more than just what you think you want to accomplish right now, that it's really a foundation for keeping you going towards the path as it evolves. And so jump into the fear and follow the light.
Let's go. Travian, what you got?
I think mine would be, invest in yourself. I mean, I think that it's important for you to get to know who you are, get to know what your wants and needs are, get to know, the levels of frequency that you operate in every day. I've been knowing Crystal for a long time, and she's been doing this work prior to actually doing this work. And so I initially got into it because of my love for her. But the actual doing of the work end up being about me and about really transforming, getting to know who I was. So yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for trusting me in my transformation. That's huge, y'all. I don't think you understand that when someone who's known you in different iterations of your life can see the through line of your growth and transformation and participate in it, that's what we call in this community partners in believing. And we make sure that no one leaves a cohort without at least 2 partners in believing, right? Because you have to have people who are doing this work to sustain you in the world. You can't have an accountability partner out there who's been a part of your life who has no idea what this work is like, because all they'll do is try to keep you where they are. They don't do it maliciously. They're not trying to be mean. They just don't know how to do it, right? Yeah. Nicole, what you got?
I would say that this is, I have been working on a lot of the things that we're working on together and not making a lot of progress elsewhere. And I think the real difference, and the difference that I found here, is before I was very focused on and I was looking for people to help me figure out the how and to make that list and like, how do I do it? Give me the map, walk me through, help guide me through the map. Right. And it took a while for me to realize, I didn't come in knowing that this wasn't that, but it was meant to be, and it worked. And it's what's actually like led me forward, is that this isn't like about getting a map. And I've realized like that just doesn't work. It's not a thing, but it's like tuning your compass and like building your compass. And then from there, like, it's amazing how much of the how that I've found along the way. And I wasn't finding before because my compass wasn't in alignment. So for the type A, for the overachievers, for my brethren out there, it feels weird. But for me, it's been extraordinary, and it's given me momentum that I've been searching for and found nowhere else.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for saying that. Thank you. Jesse, what you got?
I'm going to circle back to the fear and just say that that's not going to go away, and it's going to change. And it's, as Crystal said, it's tailor-made. And so it'll speak the things, right? It's going to be about the money. It's going to be about the time. It's going to be about the commitment. It's going to be about not knowing what you want. It's going to be about what you want changing. It's all that they're going to come up. And while the fear is not going to go away, it is going to change, and it's going to get less. It's going to sit in the back seat at some point. It's not going to cloud you. It's not going to dictate your choices. It's going to change. It's going to shift.
Yeah.
And it's worth it.
Exactly.
Worth it. Yeah.
That's good. That's good. Yeah. Thank you, Jesse, for reminding us that fear is a couture garment made directly for you, and you will never throw it away because you paid for it. It was custom made. So whether you gain 100 pounds or lose 50, it's going to stay in the back of the closet because you want to pull it out just because you know it's there. Right? Like, just be clear, y'all. Fear is sneaky and it's cute. Sometimes it's cute. Libby, what you got?
So, working with you is amazing. And so I hope anyone who has watched this has gotten that sense. But one of the other amazing things that you have so many talents, but one of them is building community. You know how to create a community. And I was in a place where I was so starved for, I don't want to say like-minded people, because that seems too restrictive, but for people who wanted to do the work and who wanted to do the work together. And I've been fully nourished by the communities that you've created, all of the different cohorts, and especially that mastermind cohort that I'm working with right now. I feel like these are some of the deepest and most meaningful partnerships and friendships that I've had my whole life. And, I'm getting up there. So it's been a lot of years. And it's, so I just want to put out there for anybody who is also feeling like, I want to do the work, but I don't know who to do it with, and I really need to do it in community. Working with Crystal is a way to do it in community.
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks for telling. Yes, Libby, that's very clear. There is no click and join in our community. So if you see the bottom of the screen and you're interested in joining our September cohort where it says go to stepwithcrystal.com, that's because you need to schedule your vision call. You need to talk directly to me. You're not talking to some representative on the phone that's trying to figure out if you want to pay in full. You're talking to me. Right. And I'm curating these groups to make sure that people are really ready to do this work, because it's no shame, no heat, no harm, no foul, that sometimes we think we're ready, but we actually haven't really gotten ourselves together to give the yes. Right. And we don't want you to be in a situation where you feed the failure paradigm rather than be in community and find your own success. So if you're interested, you can go to stepwithcrystal.com. And a few people have told me that my calendar is full. That's okay. Just send an email directly to info@Life Steps and Stages, and the guru who runs this whole behind the scenes, Taryn Nail, she'll find something for you. Don't worry about it. Farine, what you got?
I think it's just we get this life once, right? Like we get this narrative once. And I'm really trying to pour into myself just in case if I go out tomorrow, that I am tending to the person who's been with me through and through from the very beginning. And that is myself.
Yeah.
Like too often we are neglecting that. And I deeply, deeply appreciate how laced the vision is with you as a person and turning inward and that inner tuition and so forth. It's been a gift to witness myself fuller.
Yeah.
I navigate anxiety. I navigate depression. There are things that I can tell myself, these are just going to get in the way. But as Crystal said, it's kind of cool to be on your own planet. And some of the things that I've negotiated, just being like, I'm on my own planet. And they're like, what? I go, yeah, I think y'all should do this instead. And then I got it. I was like, okay, I'll be here. And I love that. Right. And we just got to do that for ourselves. So yeah, thank you.
Yeah. No, y'all, I hope that you've gotten your questions answered tonight. Number one is the clarity of vision is what directs your every step. We are not here to tell you how to be. We're here to ask you who you are, what you would love, and give you the support, the guidance, and the community in order to fulfill the new rituals and the new patterns that need to be established in your life to make that what you would love the right now. The other part of this is that we build confidence in each one of those patterns and make choices each day. And the thing about how we look at accountability at Steps and Stages is more about collaboration. So bringing that information back to your cohort and collaborating and navigating through a new set of paradigms, right? New set of progress notes. And then we do it in community so that you can see yourself from a kaleidoscope perspective. You've been looking at you for a long time. You've made some conclusions that are old, but you're still trying to use them right now. Those conclusions no longer serve you. And so sometimes you need a stranger. The quickest way to transform yourself, to jumpstart your transformation, is to introduce yourself to a stranger and be held accountable for the person you're becoming, not who you've been. So if you're really ready to dive in, if you're ready to say yes to yourself, jump over to stepwithcrystal.com or email us directly, info@lifestepsandstages.com, and we'll make sure that we get a complimentary vision call scheduled for you because we don't want any barriers to your yes. I want to thank each and every one of these clients, from Vision Builder all the way up to Mastermind, from 2020 all the way up to now, from friendships from 20 years ago. Thank you for trusting me with your heart and your journey. And I hope to continue to be your guide, your partner in believing in every step that you take. And shout out to our Mastermind client, Juanisha, who's been in the chat with all the comments, dropping jewels. Thank you, Dr. Juanisha Hicks. Hey, listen, we'll see y'all soon. Thanks for watching. Like, share, subscribe to Coach Crystal. But most of all, take a step in the direction of something you would really, really love. Good night.